Chapter 13. Lydon was horrified. This looked like the work of a vampire, but Seeper had sworn to him that the Children of the Night did not kill. He'd said that the generals quickly put an end to any vampire who slaughtered humans without just cause. This could be the work of a mad, rogue vampire, or maybe Lydon's master had lied to him. The weeping boy was obviously related to the corpses. They shared the same build and facial features. The man and woman were his parents, and the dead boy and girl were his brother and sister. Lydon's heart immediately went out to the orphan. He knew how painful it was to lose those that he loved. Lydon was nudged aside as a man with long grey hair moved forward for a better look. The man cursed but didn't step back as others had. He wiped sweat from his cheeks, then cleared his throat. "My Diana saw something pass our house this morning, just before daybreak." A silence fell upon the men, and all eyes focused on the newcomer. He looked nervous. He didn't like the attention, but he went on. "She was out back. A shadow passed in the dark. She said it looked like a man, but at the same time it didn't. She thought it was a monster. I told her not to be daft. Kids are always imagining things in the dark. But when I heard about this..." The man crossed himself. The boy was staring at the man now, his eyes starting to clear, fury filling the gap that grief left behind. "Where did this monster go?" one of the other men asked. "Towards Strasslin's," the man said, and a fearful sigh swept through the crowd. The boy rose slowly, his gaze still fixed on the grey-haired man, who gulped and said, "Did you see anything, Wester?" The boy shook his head. "I was sleeping in the shed. John had a cold and was snoring like a pig. I went to the shed to escape the noise." "We should go to Strasslin's," a woman cried from behind them. "Take crosses and stakes, and..." She fell silent when others glared at her. Lydon was surprised by their reaction. He'd assumed the villagers would be eager for revenge, but as he glanced around, he saw that most were looking at the floor with shame. "We all know why this happened," Wester said. He had a soft voice and there was a trembling edge to it, but he spoke clearly. "My dad helped me kill one of those beasts last year. We moved to a new home afterwards, in case any of its kin came seeking revenge. But they must have found us anyway. Ma tried to tell him we hadn't gone far enough, but he wouldn't." Tears welled in the boy's eyes, and he stalled. People blessed themselves and muttered words of consolation, but nobody slid forward to embrace Wester or pledge their support. "I've got to go to Strasslin's," Wester said, brushing away tears. "I know if any of you come with me and we kill this monster, another might come looking for you and your folk, like this one came for my da and us. I won't ask for any help, but I'd appreciate it if anyone offers." Wester stood over the bodies of his dead family, head low, awaiting a response. When nobody said a word, he nodded sadly and picked up a bag lying to the left of his father. "I'd be grateful if you'd bury them, and me too if you find my bones." The boy strode through the ranks of men. They parted before him like a flock of sheep breaking ahead of a wolf, and marched up the aisle. He slipped out and closed the door softly behind him. "We should help," the woman who'd spoken earlier shouted. "If we don't, we're nothing but..." "We know what we are," one of the men roared. "You think any of us wants to let a child like that go off by himself? But Jess Flack interfered and look where it got him. If he'd left the monster alone when it came to his village, he'd be alive now, and his family too." "We'll pray for him," another man said, moving to the altar. Lydon realized this was the priest. Maybe he'll find enough strength to kill this thing, and that will be the end of it. The other men looked dubious, but filed back to the pews, joining their wives and children. Soon Lydon and the priest were the only two standing. The priest smiled uncertainly at the youthful stranger and waved for him to step down. In response, Lydon spat at the priest's feet. A shocked gasp ran through the church. "You're nothing but cowards," Lydon snarled. The words came from a dark, angry place inside him. "I hope your animals die, your crops fail, and that each one of you rots in the fires of hell." He felt the same sort of cold fury he'd felt the day he killed Traz. As the church members gawped at him, Lydon considered adding a few curses, then decided against it and hurried down the aisle. Wester Flack had a head start. If he didn't catch up with the boy quickly, he might lose him. Unlike the rest of the people in the church, Lydon didn't know the way to Strasslin's. A couple of minutes later, Lydon drew alongside Wester. The boy frowned warily at the orange-haired stranger. "I'm Lydon Crepsley. I want to help you if you'll have me." "Why?" Wester asked. I don't know you. What business is this of yours? Lighton didn't want to confess to being worried that the murders might be the work of a vampire like his master, so he told Wester the other, equally truthful, reason for his interest. You remind me of myself. I once went up against a foul murderer and nobody helped me. I had to face him all on my own. What happened? Wester asked. I killed him. Wester gulped, then said, This is no ordinary killer. It's a monster. The beast is stronger and faster than us. I'll most likely die, and if you come along with me, you will too. I'm not afraid of death, Lighton said quietly, and I've no family to worry about, unlike those cowards back in that church. It's not their fault, Wester sniffed. The monsters don't pass through here often and never kill any when they do, but if you anger them... This isn't the first time it's happened? Lighton asked, and Wester shook his head. Lighton licked his lips and tried to make his next question sound natural. Do you have a name for the monsters? The old wives have lots of names, Wester snorted. Most of us just call them bloodsuckers, because they drink the blood of those they kill. He cocked an eyebrow at Lighton. Still want to come with me? Do you see me backing off? Lighton growled. Wester sighed. Forgive me, I didn't mean to be rude, but I'm not myself. When I walked in and found them, Lighton gave the boy's arm a squeeze, remembering what it had felt like when he lost Fur, trying to imagine how it must feel to find all your family murdered at the same time, to be the only survivor. His heart went out to Wester, and he swore a silent oath to do all that he could to protect this lonely, brave orphan. What's Straslins? Lighton asked. A burnt-down mansion, Wester explained. The man who lived there was evil. He practiced dark magic and killed lots of people. The villagers say the house was struck by lightning and all within died by the hand of God, but I think a group of them torched it and drove back those inside when they tried to get out. Nice place you picked to come and live, Lighton grinned. Wester managed a weak chuckle. We didn't have much choice. After Dirhelp killed a monster last year, we weren't welcome in our own village, nor any of the others. I think they only accepted us here because they still feel guilty about what happened in Straslins. The monster your father killed, Lighton said carefully. What was it like? I don't know. He never told us. But he took this bag when he went after it, and I brought it with me from the house. Wester opened the leather bag, and Lighton peered inside. He saw a hammer, a cross, a bottle of clear liquid that he guessed was holy water, some garlic, a small saw, and 3 wooden stakes. The cross and holy water will hurt the monster, but not kill it, Wester said, with the air of a person who'd done this a dozen times. We need to drive the stake through its heart, then cut off its head, scoop out its brains and fill the skull with garlic, then bury the body and head separately at the centre of the crossroads. Lighton nodded soberly, staring with fascinated horror at the implements. If he was right and they were on their way to confront a real vampire, the holy artifacts would be of no use, and the saw and garlic were superstitious extras. But a stake through the heart, that would kill even the strongest of the so-called living dead. They sleep in daytime, Wester concluded. If we're lucky, we'll be able to find the beast before it wakes. And if we're unlucky? Lighton asked. Wester smiled without humour. Then it will be a good time to make peace with God, because you'll be seeing him soon.